man, you really can manifest the life that you want. You can really have anything you want. You can know how to put your mind to, or set your mind on this, and you can get it. There are ways, right? But you got to learn how to do it. And a lot of people do it improperly, right? So we attract based on frequencies and our vibration, right? AKA the way we feel. That's the most important thing. We have to feel, right? That's how we attract. Most people think that they have to obsess over said thing, and that's all they have to think about, and that's all they do, and what they want will be brought to them. And they just thinking about it over and over and over and just becoming insane about it, right? And they think that's just it. No. That's a big part, right? Obsessing about it, because if you're obsessing about it, that has your attention and that has your energy, and you're focusing on that, right? So yeah, you have to focus and know what you want, but obsessing about it and having that as the main thing that you're thinking about is not the only way. That's a big part of it, but there's other ways to it, right? So this is how it worked for me. So I didn't have what I wanted, right? So I started to learn about it, right? I started watching creators like Bob Proctor, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Ed Milet, Jay Shetty, all these creators, all these different creators. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing them because they all were important. Neville Goddard, Earl Nightingale, right? So it's just a lot of different creators, and I took all their knowledge in, and I kind of made it work for me, right? So I started to learn the process of creating and manifesting and attracting. I started learning it from them, right? So I started to, and then what I did is I would find a good video, like Bob Proctor was a big one. I would find a big video or a nice video that I like, and the way that he explained it made me like it that much, right? So I would watch that over and over and over. I would watch it to sleep. I would watch it when I first get up in the morning. I would watch it while I'm in the car, or listen to it, right? So I'm listening to this over and over and over and over. It's getting implanted in my mind, right? So listening to it wasn't enough for me. So when the video would go off, I would explain it to myself, right? So I would say, so he's saying, this is me in real time. I would say, so he's saying, if I do this and I do this, I can get this. Like, I would explain it. And if I don't do this, but I think I'm doing this, and I would explain it to myself and make sure I understand it, right? But the best way it was explained to me, how to attract what you want, I think was from Bob Proctor, because it just made sense, right? So we have a conscious mind, we have a subconscious mind. The conscious mind can accept or reject, right, any information. If somebody is talking to you and they're saying something bad about you, right, your conscious mind can accept that as truth, or it can reject it, like, no, that's not me. And then you have a subconscious mind. The subconscious mind can't reject. It accepts anything that goes into it, right? And we, as kids, were taught to let the subconscious mind just be wide open, and anything that comes into it is truth. As kids, we're taught this, right? Like, we're not taught about the brain. We're not taught that we can reject this. So as kids, if somebody says you're ugly, or they're bullying you, you start to actually feel like smaller than you are. You start to actually feel that. We were taught, that's how we were brought up, right? But we don't have to accept that. Now that you start learning, you don't have to let anything from the outside in the environment dictate your feelings, make you feel a certain way. You don't have to let that, right? So you subconscious and conscious, right? So, and I learned this from Dr. Joe Dispenza. You cannot be a reactor to your environment. Because the environment will always give you something to react to negatively, right? And right, so if you're, and like I said, vibration and frequency is a feeling, how you're feeling, right? So if you're reacting to the environment, and the environment almost always have something negative to throw at you, you're now in a negative vibration, negative frequency. Now you're attracting negative. So you have to be able to look at the good, or not to react to the environment and let that dictate your vibration, because we attract on vibrations. If you are on a low vibration, you're going to attract low vibrational situations and people and circumstances. Think about it. If you know somebody who's always complaining, they will always have something to complain about. Every time you see them, it's going to be something new, or it's going to be this problem, or it's going to be this problem, because that's the vibration they're on, that's the frequency they're on. And then them telling their problems to you, it enhances their feelings toward that situation, which is a low vibrational feeling, right? So them telling you, oh man, why did such and such do this, and can you believe they did that? And you like, oh man, that is messed up. And they, yeah, that is messed up. How could, right? It's enhancing their emotion, right? So they're staying on a negative vibration, right? And that's why they always have something to complain about. I know somebody personally that they always have something to complain about, always, like, and it will brush off on you, right? But if you're somebody who something happens in the environment, and because if there's a problem, there's a negative opportunity and a positive opportunity, right? So if there's a problem to fix, there's an opportunity on the other side of it, right? So if a problem happens, you start to change the way you think in that situation and put your mind on a higher frequency. So let's say, I'm gonna say me personally, I had bought this is a true story, I bought a $2,400 car, right? I was grinding very hard for this, right? The alternator belt broke on it one day. I fixed it. Okay, no biggie. The next day, my engine light was on. I'm like, that's weird. I just got this car. It was an older car. It had probably 100,000 miles on it. So, right? So stuff was gonna go wrong, but I just got the car. The engine light came on. I knew it needed a radiator flush. I did the radiator flush, and then the next day, this was on day 6, after getting the car, it broke down on the highway. I was driving home. I already drove far out, and then I was on my way home, and it broke down on the highway, right? And most people in that situation, they would be spazzing, right? Because you just spent $2,400. I went broke for that car. I had probably like $50 left after that, buying that car. But point is, most people would be very short-tempered. They would be mad. They would be angry. They would be sad, right? I had a bag of chips with me, and I had a water. I just pulled out my chips. I started eating my chips, and I drank my water, right? And I started thinking about, because this is the thing, I can't control it, right? But I started thinking about what I need to do next time, right? And I didn't know what was wrong with it, so I didn't know the car was all the way toast yet. So that kind of was probably a factor, like, okay, maybe it can be fixed. I don't know what's wrong with it yet, so I'm not going to stress over it. So I was just sitting there, and then I realized, like, man, I didn't get a warranty on this, right? So that's kind of on me. I should next time get a warranty, right? But I had to sit on the side of that road with that broken down car to realize, oh, I did this wrong. I had to take that L to learn from that L. Oh, this is what I should do next time, right? But in that same situation that would have somebody down, now I'm in a, not a high, but I'm stable, right? So it's not messing with my vibration. It's not messing with what is being attracted to me, because I'm looking at the problem differently. I'm not panicking. I'm not doing too much over the problem, right? So you cannot be a reactor to your environment, because your environment will always give you something to react negatively about. If you go on social media, something bad is happening, right? Something bad is going to be shown to you. And if you react into that emotionally, you're setting yourself up for failure. Like I said, you have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. We have the ability, when information comes in, to kick that out and say, I don't want to accept that. That is not true for me. When you see something bad on social media, you do not have to believe it, and you do not have to let it intervene with your feelings. You have the control to kick that out of your head and put something positive in it. And I'm pretty sure it'll do you good, and it'll do you justice, because it's changing your vibration. And as a result, changing what you're attracting, right? So you have to, and this is from experience, you have to fake it first, right? You have to fake it, because it's been years of programming. Like I said, we've been taught that anything that happens is true, or anything that is said to us is true. We've been letting things go into our subconscious mind from kids. So that's programming over years. Years and years and years of programming and reacting to the environment, right? So in order to stop that and not react to the environment, it's not going to happen like this, right? But this is how you do it. Start looking at the good. Right, like when a problem happens, even if it has nothing to do with the problem, look at the good, right? So let's say you got fired, random. Instead of, man, I don't got nowhere to go, or I don't have a job to go to, how am I supposed to make money? I was dependent on that money. Instead of all the bad things, look at all the good things, because it's going to change your vibration, right? Damn, I just got fired. I'm alive. I didn't lose a finger. I can walk. I can see. I'm not blind. I don't have cancer. I'm alive. Like in that problem, whatever problem you're going through, look at the good. Look at everything that's good. Don't look at nothing bad. Nothing bad, because that's going to dictate your vibration, right? So, and the problems that we have in life are not important as we think they are, or they're not as important as we make them. We make problems worse. We make them way worse than they are. They're not that bad, right? So now if you got diagnosed with something very serious, now that is a real problem, right? But most of the time that's not happening. Most of the time it's a flat tire, you're low on money, you're in debt, little problems, and we put too much importance on them. No, they're not big as we think, right? So whenever something happens, just start looking at the good, like, well, at least I'm alive, right? And then the fact that we are here on Earth, so we have a 1 in 400 trillion chance of being here, right? The fact that you even get to experience this problem is a blessing, right? So stop all the complaining and look at the good. You are here to experience struggle. This is a good thing. A lot of people who could live will never live. You are a miracle. You were chosen. Why are you? And people don't know this though. And that's why you can't blame them. Because I was one of those people reacting to the environment. Whenever something happens, like, someone say something wrong, or somebody cuts you off in traffic. That happens a lot. A lot of people get mad because it's like, why would you do that? But now that puts you on a negative vibration, and you're the only one mad, like, right? So that's why when my car broke down on the side of the road after 6 days of buying it, I wasn't mad, because I can't control it, and I'm the only one that's going to be mad, right? The car is not going to be mad. Like, the person that's coming to pick it up on the tow is not going to be mad. I'm the one that's going to be mad, right? So it's like, if you can't control it, if you cannot control it, then let it be. Let it work itself out, right? Because if you're focused on a problem that you cannot control, and you're getting emotionally involved with that problem, what does that mean? You're just going to be mad until it's fixed, right? You never know. Especially if you can't control it, then you're a victim. You're a victim to the environment, and that's not what you want to be in trying to attract what you want to attract. You have to, the environment has to react to you. You stay afloat no matter what. Nothing can deter your focus and your energy and your vibration, but something that you let it. No one can hurt your feelings without your permission. No one can get under your skin without your permission. Nothing can get under your skin without your permission. You have a conscious mind and you have a subconscious mind. Whatever you put into the subconscious mind, the brain accepts as truth, right? But whatever is into the conscious mind, we have the ability. So yeah, just start forcing yourself and faking it, right? If it's a problem, start faking it. Like, I am in this problem, but I'm happy. I'm happy I get to experience this. And you might not believe it at first. You might still be mad, but when you keep doing it over and over and over, it's the repetition that implants the habits and the beliefs, right? The things you believe is things you've believed over and over and over, or been told about over and over and over. If you want to start to believe in something else, and you keep telling yourself that this is the truth, and you develop belief with understanding, though, right? The more and then you get understanding by studying, right? The more you study something, the more and more you study something, the more and more you understand it, and the more and more you believe it now, right? So study the laws. Start studying the laws. Start getting into these creators who know what they're talking about and have the life that you want, because their information is clearly true. Their information clearly will get you the life that you want. Start listening, right? Start listening. And don't listen to one video and just leave it at that. Listen to that video again and again and again. And then when you've heard it enough, start to explain it to yourself. Start explaining it to make sure you know what he's trying to say or she's trying to say. Develop an understanding and then start trying it. Start trying it. And it's very simple. What I'm telling you to do is very simple. How to be in harmony with the laws of the universe to attract what you want is very simple. But it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. It's very simple, but it is very hard. A lot of people will not be able to do it because it's in the mind. Anything that you try to do, changing your mind, trying to change your mind, trying to change your mindset, is going to be a battle, right? I think it'll be harder than someone trying to cut down on weight and build muscle. They're overweight and they're trying to lose body fat and build muscle. I think that mind game, fighting with your own mind, is way harder, right? So, but it's very simple, but very hard, right? So Hold on, this car trying to turn off. But in this book, Think and Grow Rich, man, Napoleon Hill, he said on page 17 something that it made so much sense when I read it, because up until I got this book, I was studying through videos. I would watch videos over and over and over and over, and then I would repeat it to myself and make sure I understand it, talk to myself and make sure I understand what he's saying, right? So, and I only caught this and really made sense of it the second time I read this book. Because at first, when you're reading, it's just not registering, right? It's the repetition. You start to understand more once you repeat and you start to believe, right? So, page 17, he says, when Henley wrote the prophetic lines, "I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul," he should have informed us that we are the masters of our fate, the captains of our souls, because we have the power to control our thoughts. We do. We control our thoughts. We do. If you want to think about the color red right now, you can think about the color red, and then you want to switch it to blue, and then you want to switch it to Nike store. You want to switch it to Burlington. You want to switch it to whatever. You got the power, right? So that's facts. He should have told us that the ether in which this little earth floats, in which we move and have our being, is a form of energy moving at an inconceivably high rate of vibration, and that the ether is filled with a form of universal power which adapts itself to the nature of the thoughts we hold in our minds. The world will bend for us. In short, that's what it means. The world will bend for us, right? And it influences us in natural ways to transmute our thoughts into their physical equivalent, right? So the ether is filled with a form of universal power which adapts itself to the nature of the thoughts we hold in our minds and influences us in natural ways to transmute our thoughts into their physical equivalent. Naturally, the thoughts we hold in our mind, the universe will influence us into transmuting our thoughts into physical equivalent. Naturally. This will happen naturally with the dominant thoughts, right? So you're complaining a lot, and the universe will influence you to transmute that complaining and that low vibration into a physical equivalent. That's why you always have something to complain about, because that's the vibration that you're in, right? It gets better though, right? Listen. If the poet had told us of this great truth, we would know why it is that we are the masters of our fate, the captains of our souls. He should have told us with great emphasis that this power makes no attempt to discriminate between destructive thoughts and constructive thoughts. It doesn't care. You think negative, that's what will be brought to life. You think positive, that is what will be brought to life. The universe doesn't care. It just transmutes. It just creates from what we're thinking about, right? It makes no attempt to discriminate between destructive thoughts and constructive thoughts, right? That it will urge us to translate into physical reality thoughts of poverty just as quickly as it will influence us to act upon thoughts of riches. It can make us poor, it can make us broke. It's about how we think. We can be broke minded, we can think like a broke person, we can think like a helpless person, we can think like a homeless person, and that will be our reality, right? It doesn't care. It just cares. It doesn't care what we think about. It just transmutes what we think about into physical equivalents. It doesn't care, right? So if it doesn't care what we think about, it will just transmute what we think about into physical equivalent, and we control what we think about, people are in the positions they don't want to be in because of themselves. They're thinking about the wrong things, and they have the wrong vibration throughout their life, and they're on the wrong frequency because they can control it, right? But people don't know that they can control it. He should have told us too that our brains become magnetized with the dominating thoughts which we hold in our minds, and by means with which no man is familiar, these magnets attract to us the forces, the people, the circumstances of life which harmonize with the nature of our dominating thoughts. That just made so much sense, because it will our dominating thoughts, right? And our dominating thoughts is most likely the one we feel with the most emotion, right? So if we're thinking of, I want this business, or on the flip side, this business that I started is going to go wrong, and we're feeling emotion with, I want this business, like, man, I think I can do good with this business, and you start to feel like it, right? You have to feel. That's the secret right there. You have to feel it. They attract to us these magnets, right? Our dominating thoughts are like a magnet. It will attract to us the forces, the people, and the circumstances of life which harmonize with the nature of our dominating thoughts. So whatever we're thinking about the most, and whatever we're feeling the most emotion with, is going to be brought to us. There's nothing in the world that can stop it either. There's nothing in the world that can stop it, right? Whatever we feel with the most emotion is, and what we think about the most, is going to be what's brought to us, right? But like I said, that's one of the hardest things to do, because the environment is always throwing something negative your way, right? So having to get through that negative, right? Me, aka the car breaking down on the road, I had to get through that and remain at a positive vibration, because my life could have went downhill from there, but instead it went uphill from there. It just takes that human will to, okay, I'm not about to let this be the reason that I crumble, right? So you have to make sure that you have the control over your thoughts and your feelings, right? And it's hard at first, but once you get it, you do become the master of your fate and the captain of your soul, because you control what you think, and you controlling what you think controls what you feel, and what you feel is the vibration or frequency that you're on, and that frequency that you're on is what's pulling what you want towards you, right? You cannot react to the environment. You have to control your mind. You have to control your mind. You have to. That's the only way to get what you want, right? So my advice is to start trying to control your mind. Start controlling your thoughts. Start controlling your feelings. Because if you can't control your mind, it's over. You're cooked. You're cooked. That's the only thing we can control. And that is, our mind is what brings what we want to us. And if we can't control our mind, and our mind is what brings what we want to us, we can't control what we're getting. That's just simple. It just doesn't, it can't be no other way. It doesn't make sense. If you can't control your mind, and your mind is what brings what you want to you, you're not going to get what you want, because you can't control, right? So take control over your mind, and you take control over your life. And I didn't know this, and I might have thought people were lying until I actually did it. You take control of your mind, and the rest will take care of itself. This world and whatever's in this world is yours for the taking once you are able to take control of your mind. So yeah, man, I do recommend this Think and Grow Rich books, or this Think and Grow Rich book. I think this is the deluxe or something. There's no difference. It's not. It's the same words. So I don't know. This might just be. This is leather, and the other book might be. You know that. I don't know what it's called. It's not leather. It's like flappy. I do recommend this book because this is somebody. Napoleon Hill is somebody who studied 500 of the world's most successful men. This is information from them, and this was written over what, I think 25 years. This is not like this has experience. This has life experience in it. And after I read this book and I understood it a little more, I was able to change my life quick, right? Life is good for me right now. It's not the best. It's not where it could be, right? But compared to last year, I'm on a whole different level, right? Like, I'm not worried about, I have to work, of course, and I have to do everything, but anything that we need, I can get it. I'm not worried about bills. They are covered, guaranteed. Last year, I was in debt, like bad. Like I couldn't put $9 in the tank, right? I didn't even have a car last year around this time. So now I got two. I was living with my dad last year, and I'm living on my own. I had an on and off job last year. Now I run a business, right? So, man, your life can change quicker than you think it will. Because you might be putting it off, but it can change like this. It can change quick, right? So, and yeah, just take control of your mind. That's the most important thing. You can't control anything else but your mind. So take control of it, and I promise you, you'll get whatever you're after.